Lila, send $500 over right now. Your dad's whiskey is gone, and while you're at it, pick me up that new face cream. Molly's voice came through the phone with an air of unwavering authority, mixed with Jasper's impatient coughing in the background. My knuckles whitened around the phone as I stared at the scuffed tiles in the coffee shop's back kitchen. I took a deep breath. Mom, I just sent you $300 last week. I haven't gotten my paycheck this month, and I only have a little over $200 left for living expenses. A little over 200. Molly's voice shot up, as if she'd heard the funniest joke. Lena next door is your age, and she's a law firm assistant. She buys her mom designer bags every month. But you? You hide your money even when you earn it. Your dad and I raised you, and you hesitate to give us a little money. The name Lena pricked my ears like a needle. Ever since I took my first part-time job at 16, that name had never left my parents' lips. Lena got an A, I got a B. Lena went to a top university, I only got into community college. Lena landed a decent job, I worked as a barista during the day and a convenience store clerk at night. In their eyes, all my efforts were worth less than a strand of Lena's hair. I'm not hiding any money, I lowered my voice, afraid the customers in the front would hear. I still have to work at the convenience store at night, and I only make $12 an hour. After paying rent and buying food, there's barely anything left. That's because you're useless. Jasper's voice suddenly cut in from the other end, slurred with alcohol. I told you to study hard, but you wouldn't listen. Now you earn chump change and have the nerve to complain about being poor. Your cousin Ezra owns an auto repair shop. He sends your aunt $2,000 every month. What about you? You can't even scrape together $500. I'm ashamed of you. Cousin Ezra, another role model, they used to crush me. But they never mentioned that Ezra inherited Grandpa's fortune and used that as start-up money for his shop. They also never mentioned that I moved out at 18, took out loans for my tuition, and paid my own rent. They never gave me a penny of support. Memories of my childhood suddenly flooded in, wrapping around my heart like cold tide. When I was in 3rd grade, I drew a picture that my teacher hung in the classroom hallway. I raced home excitedly clutching the drawing, hoping they'd praise me. But Molly glanced at it and threw it on the floor. What's the use of drawing this? Can it put food on the table? Lena got a perfect score in math this time. Why can't you be more like her? Another time, I saved up my allowance for half a year to buy a fairy tale book. Jasper tore it up as soon as he saw it, yelling that I was wasting my time, and that I should have used the money to buy him cigarettes. From that moment on, I knew that any little joy or progress of mine meant nothing to them. Only, being better than others made me worthy of recognition. No matter how useless I am, I don't go around begging for money every day like you do, I couldn't help but retort, tears welling up in my eyes. When you were hospitalized last year, I advanced 3 months' salary from my boss to pay the medical bills. The year before that, when you said you wanted to travel, I worked 2 jobs non-stop to save $1,000 for you. But you turned around and bought a new TV, not even saying thank you. That's what you're supposed to do. Molly said matter-of-factly. Raising children is for old age security, and that goes for daughters too. We gave you life, shouldn't you repay us? Besides, wasn't that trip just so we'd have something to talk about with your aunt? She went to Hawaii with Ezra. We couldn't exactly say we stayed home, could we? I scoffed, remembering last Christmas. I saved up for ages to buy them a pair of cashmere gloves. But in front of all the relatives, Molly said, these gloves look cheap. Lena bought her mom genuine leather ones, so much more stylish to wear out. That day, I stood in the corner, the gift in my hand burning like a hot iron. Money, 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 that's all you care about. My voice started to shake. When I had a fever a few months ago, I lay in bed for 3 days with no one to take care of me. I called you, but you said you were too busy playing cards with the neighbors and told me to tough it out. Now that you want something, you remember I'm your daughter. How dare you talk to us like that? Molly snapped, her voice full of anger. Aren't we playing cards just to get along with the neighbors? What if we need to ask them for a favor someday? You're so ungrateful, talking back to us like this. I'm telling you, that $500 has to be here today. Otherwise, I'll go to your coffee shop and let your boss see how you treat your parents. Threats, always threats. That was their go-to trick. Whenever I refused to give in, they'd find a way to humiliate me. Last time I refused to buy Jasper alcohol, he went straight to the convenience store where I worked and shouted at me for being unfilial in front of all the customers. I almost lost my job because of that. I really don't have that much money, I said tiredly, feeling like all the energy had been drained from my body. I can send you $200, that's all I have. You'll have to figure out the rest on your own. $200. Is that supposed to be charity? Jasper roared into the phone. Lila, are you hiding savings? I'm telling you, don't think we can't control you just because you moved out. If you don't send the money, we'll go to your school and tell your teachers you don't support your parents. We'll make sure you can't graduate. They'd never know how hard I struggled to pay for my tuition. I only ate 2 meals a day, one was a discounted sandwich from the convenience store, the other was leftover bread from the coffee shop. I never bought new clothes, everything I wore was thrift. Even my phone was a 3-year-old model. But they lived in Grandpa's house rent-free, yet they still complained that I didn't give them enough money. I'm not hiding any savings, I gritted my teeth, holding back tears. I make $3,000 a month. Rent is $1,200, student loan payments are $800. The remaining $1,000 goes to food, utilities, and necessary supplies. I work an extra job at the convenience store at night, which earns me another $800 a month. I give most of that to you. What more do you want from me? That's because you're bad at managing money. Molly sneered. Lena makes $4,000 a month, and she still buys her mom designer bags and saves money. Why can't you do the same? You must be wasting money on useless things. I don't care, you have to scrape together $500 today, or I'll disown you. Disown me? I'd heard that threat countless times, but they never meant it. They knew I still held a glimmer of hope that they'd treat me better someday. But that hope was shattered every time by their greed and coldness. Fine, I'll send it, I finally caved, not because I wanted to, but because I was scared. Scared they'd really make a scene at the coffee shop, scared I'd lose this hard-earned job. I opened my mobile banking app, stared at the $280 left in my account, and transferred $200 to them. Then I sent Molly a text, this is all I have. Don't ask me for more money. There was a silence on the other end for a few seconds, then Molly said, only $200. Useless. Remember to send more when you get your paycheck next time. Your dad and I are saving up for a new sofa. Lena's family just got a leather one, we can't be worse than them, can we? I said nothing and hung up the phone. Leaning against the cold wall, tears finally streamed down my face. The kitchen's exhaust fan hummed loudly, as if mocking my cowardice. I worked so hard to make a living, but in my parents' eyes, I was never good enough, never able to satisfy their greed. When I went to my part-time job at the convenience store that night, my boss noticed I looked pale and asked if I was sick. I shook my head and said I was fine. But what I really wanted to say was that I wasn't sick, I was just tired. Tired of the endless demands, tired of the constant comparisons. It was 1 o'clock in the morning when I dragged my exhausted body back to my apartment. As soon as I opened the door, my phone rang, it was Jasper. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. Lila, send another $300 over, Jasper slurred, his voice reeking of alcohol. Your mom and I are out for dinner, and we don't have enough money. The waiter won't let us leave. I couldn't believe my ears, didn't I just send you $200 tonight? How are you out of money already? That $200 wasn't even enough for the alcohol. Jasper snapped impatiently. Your mom and I are treating the neighbors to dinner. We can't let them pay, can we? Lena's parents treated us to a $500 meal last week. We can't look cheap, right? Send the money now, or we'll be humiliated here. Lena again, always Lena. They'd rather borrow money to treat people to dinner just to save face, never once thinking that I hadn't even eaten dinner to scrape together money for them. I have no more money, I said slowly, my voice cold and steady. I only have $80 left, which is enough for my breakfast and lunch tomorrow. Figure it out on your own, either ask the waiter for credit or have the neighbors pay. Don't call me again. How dare you refuse? Jasper's voice turned menacing in an instant. Lila, do you think I won't come find you? I'll smash up your apartment right now. Go ahead, I laughed, tears streaming down my face. I don't care anymore. If you dare show up, I'll call the police. I'll let them see how you're bullying your daughter. I'll tell them how you beg for money every day, how you don't work a day in your life, how you only care about comparing yourselves to others. You're not fit to be parents. There was silence on the other end. After a long pause, Molly's voice came through, trembling with panic. Lila, don't be impulsive. We were just joking. You don't have to send the money. We'll handle it ourselves. Joking? I scoffed. Your idea of a joke is pushing me to the edge, breaking my heart over and over again. I'm telling you, from today on, I won't send you a single penny. If you want to compare yourselves to others, if you want to spend money, earn it yourselves. Don't ever count on me again. With that, I hung up the phone and blocked their numbers. After doing that, I collapsed on the floor, feeling a huge weight lifted off my chest. I knew they might find other ways to contact me, but this time, I wouldn't back down. The next morning, I was woken up by a knock on the door. When I opened it, it was my landlady, holding an envelope. 2 people came looking for you last night, saying they're your parents. I didn't let them in, but they left this for you. I took the envelope and opened it. Inside was a note in Molly's handwriting. Lila, we're so disappointed in you. We raised you, but you're so unfilial. If you don't make up the money, we'll go to your school and workplace and ruin your reputation. By the way, Lena bought her mom a gold necklace yesterday. Think about it. Looking at the note, I didn't feel angry, I just felt ridiculous. They'd never understand that true dignity doesn't come from comparisons or from their children's money. True dignity comes from earning a living with your own hands, from being kind and respectful to others. I tore up the note and threw it in the trash. Then I got dressed and went to work at the coffee shop. The sun streamed through the shop's windows, warming my face. I knew the road ahead would be tough and I might still have to deal with my parents' harassment, but I wasn't scared anymore. During my lunch break, I called the school counselor and told her what was going on. She told me I wasn't in the wrong, but I had the right to refuse unreasonable demands, the right to live my own life. After hanging up the phone, I felt much lighter. That afternoon, Lena suddenly came to the coffee shop to see me. She was wearing an elegant dress and carrying a designer bag, a stark contrast to my thrift clothes. Lila, I heard you had a fight with your parents. Lena sat down in front of me, her voice filled with sympathy. My parents told me yesterday that your parents asked them for money and said you don't support them. I was stunned. I never thought they'd be so shameless as to bother Lena's parents. I'm sorry for getting you involved, I said awkwardly. It's okay, Lena smiled. Actually, I don't have a good relationship with my parents either. They are always forcing me to do things I don't like, always comparing me to others. I buy my mom designer bags just to get her to leave me alone. I know how hard it is for you. My parents told me you moved out at 18 and paid for your own tuition. You're amazing. I never expected Lena to say that. A warm feeling surged in my heart. So she was going through the same pressure from her parents as I was. Thank you, I said sincerely. You're welcome, Lena handed me a business card. This is my friend's contact information. She's a lawyer. If your parents really go to your school or workplace to make trouble, you can ask her for help. She's very professional and doesn't charge too much. I took the business card, filled with gratitude. So there were still people in this world who understood me. That night after work, I received another text message from my parents, sent from an unknown number. It was another demand for money, threatening me that something bad would happen if I refused. I didn't reply, I just blocked that number too. Back at my apartment, I made myself a bowl of hot noodle soup, the first full meal I'd had in days. I sat at the table, staring at the stars outside the window, feeling hopeful for the first time in a long while. I knew that as long as I stuck to my principles and refused to give in to their greed and comparisons, I could build the life I wanted. A few days later, my parents did show up at my school to make trouble. They shouted loudly in front of the teaching building, calling me unfilial and accusing me of not supporting them. A crowd of students gathered around to watch. I felt humiliated, but I didn't back down. I took out my phone, called the lawyer Lena had recommended, and stared at my parents calmly. The lawyer arrived quickly. She pulled out a file and handed it to my parents. This is Lila's income certificate and expense details. She gives most of her monthly income to you. Your current behavior constitutes harassment. If you don't stop immediately, we will sue you. My parents looked at the file, their faces turning ashen. They never expected me to hire a lawyer, let alone keep track of all my income and expenses. Why you dare to sue us? Jasper stammered, trembling with anger. I don't want to sue you, I said calmly. I just want you to stop harassing me. I'm an adult now, and I have my own life. I will fulfill my obligations to support you, but I won't give in to your unreasonable demands anymore. I won't tolerate your comparisons or your greed. With the lawyer's mediation, my parents finally left the school. After that day, they never contacted me again. I still thought about them occasionally, feeling a twinge of sadness, but I never regretted my decision. A few months later, I graduated successfully and found a job I loved. I moved into a bigger apartment and bought some things I'd always wanted. I started learning to love myself, to live for myself. One day, I ran into Lena at the supermarket. She told me she'd also stood up to her parents and was now living the life she wanted. We looked at each other and smiled, seeing relief in each other's eyes. I knew I'd never be the Lena my parents talked about, but I'd finally become the person I wanted to be. All the past hurts and pains had turned into the driving force for my growth. Later on, I came to understand that not all families are filled with warmth and tolerance. In some parents' love, there lurk greed, control, and prejudice. They prioritize their own pride and desires over their children's happiness. Recognizing the limitations of one's family of origin isn't about denying the past, it's about stopping the cycle of harm. We have the right to refuse bottomless demands, to break free from the moral abduction of children must obey unconditionally, and above all, to live for ourselves. As women, we shouldn't be defined by the labels our family of origin gives us, nor should we be trapped in others' expectations. Those hardships we endured alone and the resistance we clung to will eventually become our armor. There may be many people who, like me once, are struggling in dysfunctional family relationships, but please believe, you deserve to be treated well. You have the ability to break free from the mire, and you can earn your own light and dignity with your own hands. This awakening is never too late.